They came at midnight, 15 armed men, torches blazing, surrounding Caleb's ranch. They didn't care that Mary was just a child. They didn't care that the fortune was legally hers. Greed had turned the entire town into a mob, and they wanted blood. Caleb stood on the porch, rifle in hand, with Mary trembling behind him. He was outnumbered, outgunned, and out of time, but he'd made a promise 10 years ago to a dying friend, and Caleb Silverstone had never broken a promise yet. You want to know why a man would die for a girl he barely knew? Let me take you back to where it started. To the dust, to the blood, to Devil's Notch. The Nevada hills were hell with a view. Dust rode the wind like a curse, choking the breath out of anyone foolish enough to chase gold into these mountains. Caleb Stone was one of those fools. He rode in with empty pockets, a tired horse, and debts that followed him like shadows. No family, no future, just rumors of a rich vein and the desperate hope that maybe this camp would be different. It wasn't. Devil's Notch was a graveyard waiting to happen. Men drank rot-gut whiskey at dawn and eyed each other's claims by dusk. Trust? That was a luxury nobody could afford. Violence simmered under every handshake, every nod, every forced smile. Caleb set up a lean-to near the creek and started digging. Days blurred. Dirt. Sweat. Nothing. His hands bled. His back screamed. And every night he counted the coins he had left. $3, $2, $1.50. Then he met Thomas Hale. Hale worked a claim upstream. Caleb noticed him because he didn't drink, didn't gamble, didn't brawl in the mud like the others. He just worked. Quiet, steady, different. One evening, Caleb's pickaxe snapped clean in half. The handle splintered and the head went flying into the creek. Caleb cursed loud enough to wake the dead. That pickaxe had cost him his last dollar. Without it, he was done. Hale looked up from his pan, walked over, and handed Caleb a spare. No. Questions. No price. Caleb stared at it. You don't know me. Don't need to. Hale's voice was calm, steady. Out here, we help or we die. Caleb took the pickaxe. That night, he walked over to Hale's fire. It felt wrong to take charity without at least saying thanks. Hale was cooking beans in a dented pot. He didn't look up when Caleb sat down, just pushed the pot toward him. Eat. Caleb ate. They didn't talk much at first. But after a while, Hale started telling stories. Not about gold or claims or the camp. About them. His wife, Clara. His daughter, Mary. She's got her mama's eyes, Hale said, twisting the worn wedding band on his finger. Blue as a summer sky, and a grip like a bear cub. Every morning before I leave, she tugs my beard and won't let go till I promise to come home. He smiled when he said it. A real smile. The kind Caleb hadn't seen in years. Clara reads the Bible out loud every night, Hale continued. Even when I'm not there, says it keeps the house safe, keeps them safe. Caleb stared into the fire. He had no wife, no daughter, no house to keep safe. Hale's life sounded like heaven. Impossible, distant, but heaven. Why are you here? Caleb asked. If you got all that waiting back home? Hale's smile faded. He looked older suddenly. Tired. Because love don't pay for medicine, or food, or a roof when the drought comes. His eyes went hard. I'm here because I have to be, not because I want to be. Caleb understood that. They worked side by side after that. Hale never asked for anything, never expected anything. But when Caleb's shovel broke, Hale lent him another. When Caleb ran out of food, Hale shared his beans. When fever hit the camp and men started dying, Hale brought Caleb water and made sure he didn't burn up in his tent. For the first time in years, Caleb had someone he could trust, someone who had his back. That trust would save his life, but it would cost Hale everything. 3 weeks later, the claim office made an announcement. A rider came in at noon, shouting from his horse, "Major strike, rich veins, close to the surface, the biggest find in Nevada territory." Devil's Notch exploded. Men who'd shared beans the night before now glared at each other over their holsters. Friendships died faster than campfires. The camp turned rabid. Fistfights broke out in the street. A man was stabbed over a shovel. Another was shot in his sleep. And Hale's claim? Word spread fast. His plot sat right on top of the vein. Men whispered in corners. Eyes followed him wherever he went. Caleb saw the storm coming. "You need to leave," Caleb told him one morning. "Pack up, take what you got and ride out before this place tears you apart." Hale shook his head. "I leave now. I leave with nothing. Clara and Mary need more than nothing. They need you alive. They need me successful." Hale's jaw was set. "I came here to give them a future. I'm not leaving till I do." Caleb couldn't argue with that. So he stayed close, watched Hale's back, slept with his revolver under his pillow. But he couldn't watch everywhere. 2 days later, Caleb saw them. 4 men standing outside the claim office, staring at a map. The one in the center was a brute named Reddick, fists like hammers. Reputation for taking what he wanted and burying anyone who complained. Reddick's eyes were on Hale's claim. Caleb's gut twisted. He found Hale by the creek, washing dirt from his pan. "They're coming for you," Caleb said. Hale didn't look up. "I know." "Then why are you still here?" "Because running won't stop them." Hale finally looked at him. His eyes were calm. Too calm. "They'll come whether I'm here or not. At least this way, I see them coming." Caleb's hand went to his revolver. "Then I'm staying." "You don't have to." "I know." Hale nodded once. They didn't talk after that, just waited. The sun dropped low. Shadows stretched across the camp. And then Caleb heard it, shouting. He turned. 4 men were walking toward Hale's tent. Reddick in the lead. Guns on their hips. Murder in their eyes. Caleb's heart kicked into his throat. This was it. Caleb ran. By the time he reached Hale's tent, guns were already drawn. Reddick stood in the center, hand resting on his revolver. His 3 men flanked him, spread out like wolves circling prey. "Give me the map, Hale." Reddick's voice was calm. Too calm. "Don't make this harder than it needs to be." Hale stood his ground. His hand wasn't on his gun. Wasn't even close. "It's mine, legal and paid for." Reddick smiled. "It was an ugly thing. Legal don't mean much out here. It means everything to me." "Then you're a fool." Caleb stepped into the firelight. Every eye turned to him. "He's not alone." Reddick's smile died. His eyes flicked to Caleb, cold and measuring. "This ain't your fight, Stone." "It is now." The air went tight. Hands hovered over holsters. Caleb's heart hammered so hard he thought his ribs would crack, but he didn't move, didn't blink. Reddick spat into the dirt. "Your funeral." The first shot cracked the sky. Everything happened at once. One of Reddick's men drew fast, too fast. Caleb's hand went to his revolver, but Hale was faster. The shot dropped the man before he cleared leather. Then chaos. The second man fired wild. Hale dove left. Caleb drew and fired twice. The man went down hard, clutching his chest. The third man ran, disappearing into the dark like smoke. That left Reddick. He didn't run, didn't hesitate. He fired 3 times, fast and mean. The first shot missed. The second hit the tent post. The third punched into Caleb's side like a branding iron. Caleb went down. The world tilted. Dust in his mouth, blood soaking through his shirt, hot and sticky. His vision blurred. He heard another shot. Then strong hands grabbed him, dragging him behind a barrel. More gunfire, a final shot. Then silence. When Caleb's vision cleared, Hale was kneeling over him, pressing a blood-soaked rag to his side. Reddick's body lay the 10 feet away, face down in the dirt. "You're a fool," Hale muttered, voice shaking. "But you're a good fool." Caleb tried to laugh. It came out as a cough, blood on his lips. "Thought you needed help." "I did. You gave it." Hale's hands were steady, but his eyes weren't. "You could have died." "So could you." Hale didn't argue. He just kept pressure on the wound, jaw tight, eyes hard. "Stay with me, Stone. You hear me? Stay with me." Caleb stayed. For 3 days, he burned with fever. Hale kept him alive. Water, whiskey, clean rags. When Caleb finally woke, weak and hollow, Hale was sitting by the fire, staring into the flames. "You should have let me die," Caleb said, voice rough. Hale looked at him. "No. Would have been easier." "Nothing about this is easy." Caleb sat up slowly. His side screamed, but he gritted his teeth and pushed through. "Reddick's dead. His men ran. It's over." Hale shook his head. "It's not over. Reddick had a brother, friends, men who'll want blood for what happened. Then we leave, both of us, tonight." "I can't." Hale's voice was quiet. Final. "They know my claim now. They know what's under it. If I run, they'll follow. And if they follow, they'll find Clara and Mary." Caleb's stomach dropped. "So what are you going to do?" Hale stood, walked to his tent. When he came back, he was holding a small, oilskin-wrapped bundle. He pressed it into Caleb's hands. "My claim, the deeds, the map, everything." Caleb stared at it. "Hale, listen to me." Hale's eyes burned. "They're coming. Tonight, tomorrow, I don't know, but they're coming, and when they do, I'm riding out. Draw them off, give you time to get clear." "That's suicide. It's the only play I got." Caleb tried to stand. His side screamed. "Then I'm coming with you." "No." Hale's voice was iron. He pushed Caleb back down. "You're staying, because I need you to do something for me." He gripped Caleb's shoulder, hard enough to hurt. "If I don't come back, you find them. Clara and little Mary. Texas Panhandle near Perdition Creek." His voice cracked. "You promise me, Stone. You find my daughter. You give her what's hers. You make sure she knows her father loved her." Caleb's throat tightened. "You're coming back. Promise me." In the distance, hoofbeats echoed through the hills. Faint, getting closer. Hale's hand tightened. "Promise me." Caleb gripped the bundle. His hands were shaking. "I promise." Hale nodded once. He stood, grabbed his rifle, and walked to his horse. He didn't look back, didn't say goodbye. He just mounted up and rode into the dark. Caleb never saw him again. The next morning, Caleb found Hale's camp destroyed, tent torn apart, fire scattered, blood in the dirt, but no body. The men had taken him, or he'd led them far enough away that they'd never find their way back. Either way, Hale was gone. Caleb buried what was left. Then he opened the oilskin bundle. Inside were the deeds to Hale's claim, a hand-drawn map, and a letter addressed to Clara. Caleb read it once, then folded it carefully and put it back. 2 weeks later, he filed the claim in Hale's name. The strike was real, richer than anyone had guessed. Over the next months, Caleb worked it alone, pulling gold from the earth like he was digging up ghosts. He didn't spend a cent on himself. Every ounce went into a bank account under one name, Mary Hale. He sold the claim after a year, bought land, cattle, built a ranch from nothing, and every deed, every dollar, every inch of it was locked away in her name. A girl he'd never seen, a promise he couldn't break. He searched when he could, sent letters to Perdition Creek, hired men to ask questions, followed rumors across the frontier. But the West was wide and cruel. Towns vanished, people disappeared, trails went cold. 3 years in, word came back, Clara Hale was dead. Fever took her in the winter. The child's fate? Unknown. Unknown didn't mean gone. It just meant he hadn't found her yet. Caleb kept searching, kept building. The ranch grew, the cattle multiplied. Folks started calling him rich, calling him Silverstone for the spurs he wore and the fortune he'd built. But none of it mattered. Not the land, not the money, not the name. All that mattered was the promise. 10 years passed. Caleb's hair went gray at the temples. His hands grew rough. His heart grew cold. But the promise stayed sharp. It was the only thing that kept him alive. Then one day, riding through a shabby frontier town, he heard about an auction. Orphans, unwanted children sold to the highest bidder for labor. Caleb almost kept riding. Almost. Then he heard a voice. Small, broken, cutting through the crowd's laughter like a knife. "No one wants me!" Caleb's hand went to the oilskin bundle in his coat. He still carried it, every day, every mile. Thomas Hale's papers, the map, the proof. He turned his horse toward the square, and for the first time in 10 years, Caleb Silverstone smiled. Because he'd finally found her. Caleb pushed through the crowd. Bodies pressed close, reeking of sweat and tobacco. Men muttered bets. Women whispered judgments. Nobody moved aside until they saw his face. Then they stepped back. The platform stood in the center of the square. A weasel-faced man in a stained suit, the auctioneer, Polk, stood beside a line of children. Dirty faces, hollow eyes, bones showing through torn clothes. At the end of the line stood a girl. She was small, too small, maybe 10, maybe 12. Hard to tell with the hunger carved into her cheeks. Her dress was little more than rags. Her feet were bare and bleeding. But her eyes, Thomas Hale's eyes, blue as a summer sky, defiant even as tears cut tracks through the dirt on her face. Polk raised his voice. "Now here's a bargain, folks. Young enough to train, old enough to work. Do I hear $2? Silence. Come now, she's strong, good hands. She'll earn her keep." A rancher in the front row spat. "She looks half dead. Then she's cheap to feed." Polk forced a laugh. Nobody joined him. The girl's lip trembled. She looked at the crowd, searching for something. Kindness, maybe. Hope. She found neither. "No one wants me," she whispered. The crowd laughed. Caleb's hand tightened on the oilskin bundle. His jaw locked. His vision went red at the edges. $2, a voice called. A dirt farmer with mean eyes. Polk grinned. $2. Do I hear 3? Caleb stepped forward. 50. The laughter died. Every head turned. Polk's mouth fell open. I'm sorry, did you say? $50. Caleb's voice cut through the square like a blade. Cash, right now. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. $50 could buy a horse, a plow, a month of supplies. For a scrawny orphan girl? Madness. Polk recovered fast. Greed sharpened his smile. $50, gentlemen, we have 50. Do I hear? Sold. Caleb pulled a roll of bills from his coat and counted them out. Slow, deliberate, making sure everyone saw. Polk snatched the money like a starving dog. Pleasure doing business, mister. Caleb ignored him. He walked to the platform, boots heavy on the wood. The girl stared up at him. Fear and confusion warred in her eyes. He knelt so they were level. What's your name? Her voice was barely a whisper. Mary. Caleb's chest tightened. He pulled the oilskin bundle from his coat and unwrapped it just enough for her to see the papers inside. Mary Hale? Her eyes went wide. How do you know Your father saved my life. Caleb's voice was rough. 10 years ago, in a place called Devil's Notch. Tears spilled down her cheeks. My pa's dead. I know. Caleb's throat burned. But what he left you isn't. He stood and offered his hand. Mary stared at it for a long moment. Then slowly, she took it. Her fingers were bone-thin and trembling. As they walked toward his horse, a voice cut through the crowd. Hold on. Caleb turned. A man stepped forward, tall, clean-shaven, wearing a sheriff's R.E.D. badge that looked too new to be real. His name was Garrett. Caleb had heard of him, the kind of lawman who bent whichever way the money blew. That's a lot of money for one girl, Garrett said. His hand rested on his gun. Casual, threatening. Makes a man wonder what you're planning. The crowd pressed closer. Caleb felt the shift. Curiosity had turned to suspicion. I'm taking her home, Caleb said evenly. Home where? My ranch, 2 days north. Garrett's eyes narrowed. You got papers proving you got a right to her? Caleb's jaw tightened. I just bought her. That's all the right I need. Maybe, maybe not. Garrett stepped closer. See, we got laws about men taking children across territory lines, especially strangers. Caleb saw it now. Garrett wasn't here for the law. He was here because $50 meant Caleb had more. And in a town this desperate, that made him a target. Mary's hand squeezed his. She was shaking. Caleb made his choice. We're leaving. You want to stop me? You'll have to shoot me in the back. He turned and walked. Every step felt like walking through fire. His back itched. His hand hovered near his revolver. Garrett didn't shoot, but his voice followed. "I'll be seeing you, mister." Caleb didn't answer. He lifted Mary onto his horse, then swung up behind her. She was light as a bird, fragile, breakable. He kicked the horse into a trot. The crowd parted. Eyes followed them all the way to the edge of town. When they were clear, Mary spoke. Her voice was small but steady. "He's going to follow us." Caleb glanced down. "What makes you say that?" "Because men like him always do." She was right. Caleb had seen it in Garrett's eyes. Greed, hunger, the kind that didn't stop until it got fed or got buried. They rode hard for 3 hours. When the sun started to drop, Caleb found a spot off the trail, a cluster of rocks with a clear view of the road behind them. He helped Mary down, then built a small fire. She sat close to the flames, shivering despite the heat. Caleb handed her jerky and a canteen. She ate like she hadn't seen food in days. She probably hadn't. "Where are we going?" she asked between bites. "My ranch. It's safe. You'll have a bed, food, everything you need." "Why?" Caleb looked at her. "Because your father asked me to. But he's dead." "Doesn't matter. I made him a promise." Mary stared at him. "What kind of promise?" Caleb pulled the oilskin bundle from his coat and handed it to her. "Open it." She did. Slowly. Her hands shook as she unfolded the papers. Deeds, maps, banknotes, all bearing one name, Mary Hale. Her eyes filled with tears. "I don't understand. Your father had a claim, a good one. He died protecting it, protecting you." Caleb's voice was rough. "I've spent the last 10 years turning that claim into something real. Land, cattle, money. It's all yours. Every cent, every acre." Mary's hands trembled. "I'm rich." "You're more than rich. You're set for life." She looked up at him, tears streaming. "Then why does everyone want to hurt me?" Caleb's jaw tightened. "Because people are greedy, and greed makes them dangerous. Are you greedy?" "No." "Then why did you come for me?" Caleb met her eyes. "Because I owed your father my life, and because a promise is the only thing a man's got that can't be taken from him." Mary wiped her eyes. "What happens now?" "Now we get you home. Then we figure out how to keep you alive." She nodded. Didn't argue. Just curled up by the fire and closed her eyes. Caleb stayed awake, watching the road, listening for hoofbeats. They came 2 hours before dawn. 4 riders, moving slow, searching. Caleb's hand went to his rifle. He woke Mary with a hand over her mouth. Her eyes went wide. "Stay quiet," he whispered. "Don't move." The riders passed within 50 yards. Garrett's voice drifted through the dark. "They can't be far. Spread out." Caleb waited until they were gone. Then he kicked dirt over the fire, lifted Mary onto the horse, and rode. They didn't stop until the ranch came into view, home. But as Caleb looked at the horizon, he knew the truth. The fight was just beginning. The ranch sat in a valley between 2 hills, hidden from the main road. Caleb had built it that way on purpose. Privacy, protection. A place where a man could see trouble coming from a mile away. Mary stared as they rode in. Her mouth fell open. The main house was solid timber, 2 stories with a wraparound porch. The barn could hold 30 horses. Cattle grazed in the fields, hundreds of them, stretching to the horizon. Fences ran clean and straight. Everything was ordered, maintained, real. "This is yours?" Mary whispered. "No." Caleb dismounted and helped her down. "It's yours." She looked at him like he'd spoken a foreign language. Caleb led her inside. The house was sparse but clean. A stone fireplace dominated one wall. A table sat in the center, scarred from use but sturdy. Stairs led to the 2nd floor. "Sit," Caleb said, pointing to the table. Mary sat, her hands folded in her lap. She looked small in the chair, breakable. Caleb went to the fireplace and pulled a lockbox from behind a loose stone. He set it on the table and opened it. Inside were more papers, deeds, bank statements, legal documents stamped and sealed. He spread them out in front of her. This ranch, 3,000 acres, yours. He pointed to another document. Cattle, 800 head, yours. Another. Bank account in Silverton, $12,000, yours. Mary's eyes went wide. That's not possible. It's possible. Your father's claim was worth more than anyone knew. I worked it, sold it, invested every cent in your name. Caleb's voice was flat. Factual. You're one of the richest people in the territory. Mary's hands shook. I don't know what to do with all this. You don't have to do anything. Just live. Be safe. That's what your father wanted. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I don't even remember him. Caleb's chest tightened. He reached into his coat and pulled out the letter. The one Hale had written to Clara. He'd carried it for 10 years, waiting for this moment. He wrote this, the night before he died. Caleb's voice was rough. He wanted you to have it. Mary took it with trembling hands. She unfolded it slowly. Her lips moved as she read. Tears fell onto the paper, smudging the ink. When she finished, she looked up. He loved me. More than anything. And you kept his promise? I did. Mary wiped her eyes. What happens now? Caleb's jaw tightened. Now we keep you alive. A knock at the door cut through the silence. Hard. Insistent. Caleb's hand went to his revolver. Stay here. He moved to the door and opened it a crack. His ranch hand, a grizzled man named Cutter, stood on the porch. His face was grim. We got a problem, boss. What kind? Riders, 6 of them, came through town asking questions about you, about the girl. Caleb's stomach dropped. Garrett. Yeah, and he's got friends now. Word's spreading fast. Folks heard about the $50. They're putting 2 and 2 together. What are they saying? Cutter's face darkened. That you bought yourself an heiress, that the girl's sitting on a fortune, that maybe she don't need all of it. Caleb cursed under his breath. How long do we have? Day. Maybe 2. Garrett's smart. He's not coming alone. He's gathering men, promising them a cut. Caleb looked back at Mary. She was watching from the table, eyes wide. Double the watch, Caleb said. No one gets close without us knowing, and get the rifles ready. Cutter nodded and left. Caleb closed the door and turned to Mary. We need to talk. She stood. They're coming for me. Yes, because of the money. Yes. Mary's voice was steady. Too steady for a child. Then give it to them. Caleb stared. What? Give them the money, the land, all of it. I don't care. I just want to be safe. No. Why not? Because your father died for this. Caleb's voice was hard. He didn't die so you could hand it over to the first pack of wolves that came sniffing. He died so you could have a future. I don't want a future if I'm dead. You won't be. I won't let that happen. Mary's eyes filled with tears. You can't stop them all. Watch me. For 3 days, nothing happened. Caleb's men patrolled the property, watched the roads, kept their rifles close. Mary stayed inside, learning the house, reading her father's letter over and over until she had it memorized. On the 4th day, a rider came. Not Garrett. Someone else. A man in a black coat with a lawyer's case. He knocked politely and waited. Caleb opened the door, revolver in hand. State your business. The man didn't flinch. My name is Whitmore. I represent certain interests in town. I'm here to make an offer. Not interested. You haven't heard it yet. Don't need to. Whitmore smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. $10,000, cash, for the girl's estate. She keeps the house. You keep your life. Everyone walks away happy. Caleb's grip tightened on the revolver. Get off my land. Mr. Stone, be reasonable. The girl is a child. She can't manage an estate. She needs guidance, protection. We can provide that. She's got all the protection she needs. Whitmore's smile faded. You're making a mistake. Wouldn't be my first. It might be your last. Whitmore tipped his hat. You have 24 hours to reconsider. After that, my clients will take matters into their own hands. He turned and walked to his horse. Caleb watched him ride away, jaw locked. Mary appeared at his side. Who was that? Trouble. What did he want? Everything. That night, Caleb gathered his men. 5 in total. Good men. Loyal, but not enough. "They're coming," Caleb said. "Tomorrow, maybe the day after, but they're coming, and when they do, it won't be pretty." Cutter spat. "How many?" 10, maybe 15. One of the younger hands, a kid named Jessup, paled. "We can't fight 15 men. We don't have a choice." "We could run," another said. "Take the girl, head north, disappear." Caleb shook his head. "They'll follow, and next time we won't see them coming." "So what do we do?" Caleb looked at each of them. "We dig in, we fortify, and we make them pay for every inch." Cutter grinned. It was a hard, ugly thing. "Now you're talking." They spent the next day preparing. Barricades, extra ammunition, sight lines. Caleb moved Mary to the second floor, the most defensible position in the house. "Stay away from the windows," he told her. "No matter what you hear, no matter what happens, you stay down." Mary nodded. Her face was pale but determined. "Will we survive this?" Caleb met her eyes. "Yes." "How do you know?" "Because I made your father a promise, and I don't break promises." That night, Caleb stood on the porch, rifle in hand, watching the horizon. The stars were bright, the air was still, and in the distance, torches flickered. They were coming. They came at dawn. Caleb saw them from the porch. 12 riders, maybe more, spread out in a line, moving slow and deliberate. Not rushing, not hiding. They wanted to be seen. Garrett rode in the center. The lawyer, Whitmore, was beside him. The rest were hired guns, hard men with dead eyes and no conscience. Caleb's men took their positions. Cutter on the barn roof. Jessup at the east window. 2 more covering the flanks. Caleb stayed on the porch, rifle across his chest. The riders stopped 50 yards out, just beyond rifle range. Smart. Garrett dismounted, walked forward alone. His hands were visible, empty, but Caleb knew better than to trust it. "Stone," Garrett's voice carried across the yard. "Let's talk like reasonable men." Caleb didn't move. "You've got 10 seconds to turn around. I'm here to make a deal." "Not interested." "You haven't heard the terms." "Don't need to." Garrett stopped 20 yards out. Close enough to talk, far enough to run. "The girl's got something that don't belong to her. We're willing to pay fair price for it. Everything she has belonged to her father. Now it belongs to her. That's the end of it. Her father's dead. She's a child. She can't manage an estate. She's got me." Garrett smiled. It was cold. "For how long?" "You're one man, Stone. We're 12. You do the math. I've beaten worse odds." "Not today." Garrett's smile faded. "Last chance. Hand over the deeds. We'll leave you the house and 10%. You and the girl walk away breathing." Caleb's finger moved to the trigger. "You've got 5 seconds." Garrett's eyes went hard. "Your funeral." He turned and walked back to his men. Caleb watched him mount up, watched him signal. Then all hell broke loose. The riders split. 6 went left, 6 went right, circling, looking for weak points. Caleb fired, dropped the first man before he cleared 30 yards. Cutter fired from the barn. Another man went down. But they kept coming. Gunfire erupted from all sides. Bullets tore into the porch, shattered windows, splintered wood. Caleb dove behind a water trough. Jessup screamed from inside the house. Not hit, just scared. "Hold your positions," Caleb shouted. "Don't waste shots." Cutter fired again. A rider's horse went down, throwing its man hard. The man didn't get up. That made 3. But 9 was still too many. They didn't charge, didn't rush the house. They just circled, firing, probing, testing the defenses, looking for a gap. Caleb saw the strategy. They weren't trying to win. Not yet. They were trying to wear them down, burn through ammunition, exhaust them. It was working. "Cutter," Caleb shouted. "How much ammo you got?" 2 boxes. Make it last." A bullet punched through the water trough. Water sprayed. Caleb rolled left, came up firing. Missed, cursed. Then he heard it. A scream. From inside the house. Mary. Caleb's blood went cold. He turned and ran. kicked the door open. Jessup was on the floor, clutching his arm. Blood seeped through his fingers. "Window," Jessup gasped. "They got through the window." Caleb's heart stopped. He took the stairs 3 at a time, burst into Mary's room. She was pressed into the corner, eyes wide. A man stood by the window, gun drawn. He turned when Caleb entered. Caleb didn't hesitate. He fired. The man dropped. Mary ran to him. Caleb caught her, held her tight. "You hurt?" She shook her head, couldn't speak. "Stay down, don't move." He left her there and went back downstairs. Jessup was pale but alive. Caleb wrapped his arm tight, then moved back to the porch. The riders had pulled back. Regrouping. Caleb counted. 8 left, 4 down. But his men were running low on ammunition, and Jessup was out of the fight. This wasn't sustainable. Cutter slid down from the barn, breathing hard. "We can't hold them off forever, boss." "I know. So what's the play?" Caleb's mind raced. They couldn't run, couldn't surrender, couldn't win a straight fight. That left one option. "We make them think we're weaker than we are," Caleb said. "Draw them in close, then hit them hard." Cutter grinned. "I like it." Caleb gave the orders. His men pulled back, stopped firing. Let the riders think they were out of ammunition, out of options. It worked. Garrett saw the opening. He signaled his men. They moved in. Closer, bolder. Caleb waited, watched, counted. 30 yards, 20, 15. "Now!" Caleb and his men opened fire. Point-blank range, no misses. 3 riders dropped in the first volley, 2 more in the second. Garrett's horse reared. He fought to control it, eyes wide with shock. He hadn't expected resistance, hadn't expected a trap. "Fall back!" Garrett shouted. "Fall back!" The remaining riders scattered, rode hard for the hills. Caleb fired after them, dropped 1 more. Then silence. Caleb stood on the porch, breathing hard. Smoke hung in the air. Blood stained the dirt. Bodies lay scattered across the yard. Cutter limped over, grinning despite the blood on his leg. "We did it." "No." Caleb's voice was grim. "We survived. That's not the same thing." "What do you mean?" "Garrett's still alive, and now he knows we can fight." Caleb looked at the horizon. "Next time, he'll bring more men, and he won't make the same mistake twice." Cutter's grin faded. "So what do? We prepare, because this isn't over." That night, Caleb sat with Mary in her room. She hadn't spoken since the attack, just stared at the wall, arms wrapped around her knees. "I'm sorry," Caleb said quietly. Mary looked at him. "For what?" "For bringing you into this. You didn't. My father did." Her voice was small, tired. "He left me all this, and now people want to kill me for it." "Your father didn't know this would happen. Would he have done it differently, if he knew?" Caleb thought about Hale, about the man who'd given him a pickaxe, who'd shared his fire, who'd ridden into the dark to save a friend. "No," Caleb said. "He'd have done the same thing. Because he loved you. And love makes men do impossible things." Mary's eyes filled with tears. "I wish he was here." "So do I." She leaned against him. Caleb put his arm around her. They sat like that for a long time. 2 people bound by a dead man's promise, surrounded by enemies, running out of time. Outside, the wind picked up. Caleb heard it howling through the valley. It sounded like a warning. Garrett would be back, with more men, more guns, more determination, and next time, Caleb wasn't sure they'd survive, but he'd made a promise. And Caleb's silver stone didn't break promises, even if it killed him. 3 days passed. No riders, no gunfire, just silence. It was the kind of silence that made men nervous. Caleb used the time. He sent Jessup into town with a wagon and every dollar he could spare. Ammunition, food, medical supplies, anything we can use to hold out. Jessup left at dawn. Came back at dusk, wagon loaded, face pale. "It's bad, boss." Caleb helped him unload. "How bad?" "Garrett's recruiting, offering $50 a head to anyone willing to ride. He's got 20 men now, maybe more." Jessup's hands shook as he stacked the ammunition crates. And it ain't just drifters. He's got ranch hands, miners, even a few shopkeepers. Why would shopkeepers ride against us? Because Whitmore's spreading lies. Saying you stole the girl, saying the fortune ain't legal, saying you're a claim jumper who murdered her real family. Jessup met Caleb's eyes. Half the town believes it. Caleb's jaw tightened. And the other half? Too scared to say otherwise. Caleb cursed under his breath. Garrett wasn't just building an army. He was building a narrative, making himself the hero, making Caleb the villain, smart, dangerous. What else? Caleb asked. Jessup hesitated. They're saying you can't win, that it's only a matter of time. Some folks are already talking about how they'll divide the estate after you're dead. Caleb's hands curled into fists. They can try. That night, Caleb gathered his men. 4 now. Jessup's arm was healing, but he couldn't shoot straight. Cutter was limping. The other 2 looked exhausted. We're outnumbered 4-1, Caleb said. Maybe worse. Garrett's got time, men, and money. We've got walls and spite. Cutter spat. Spite's kept me alive this long. It won't be enough. Caleb spread a hand-drawn map of the ranch on the table. We need to be smarter, meaner. We fortify the house, turn it into a fortress. Every window gets barricaded, every door gets reinforced. We stockpile water inside, ammunition on every floor. What about the barn? One of the men asked. We burn it. They stared at him. If we can't hold it, they'll use it for cover, Caleb said. Better to deny them the position. Cutter nodded slowly. What else? We dig trenches, create choke points, force them to come at us from one direction. Caleb's finger traced the map. And we set traps, caltrops on the approach, tripwires, anything that slows them down, or makes them bleed. That'll buy us time, Cutter said. But it won't win the fight. No, but it'll make them pay for every inch. And maybe, just maybe, they'll decide we're not worth the cost. It was a thin hope, but it was all they had. For 2 days, they worked. Hammering, digging, hauling. Mary helped where she could, filling sandbags, carrying water, loading rifles. She didn't complain, didn't cry, just worked. Caleb watched her, saw the way her hands moved, steady, determined. She had her father's eyes, and now she had his spine. On the second night, Caleb found her on the porch, staring at the horizon. You should be inside, he said. I can't sleep. Neither can I. She looked at him. Do you think we'll survive? Caleb didn't lie to her. I don't know. Then why are we fighting? Because the alternative is worse. Mary was quiet for a moment. My father died fighting, didn't he? Yes. Was he scared? Caleb thought about that night. The hoofbeats, the oilskin, bundle. Hale's eyes burning with purpose. No, Caleb said. He wasn't scared. He was determined. There's a difference. What's the difference? Scared men run. Determined men stand. Mary nodded. I want to be determined. You already are. She looked at him, surprised. You've been starving, alone, and terrified for who knows how long, Caleb said. And you're still here, still standing. That's not luck. That's determination. Mary's eyes filled with tears, but she didn't let them fall. If we die, will it matter? Will anyone remember? Your father will. He's dead. Doesn't mean he's not watching. Mary smiled. Small, sad, but real. The next morning, a rider appeared on the hill, alone, unarmed, holding a white flag. Caleb stepped onto the porch, rifle ready. That's far enough. The rider stopped. It was Whitmore, the lawyer. His face was calm, confident. Mr. Stone, I'm here with a final offer. Not interested. You should be, because this is the last time we'll ask. Nicely. Whitmore's voice carried across the yard. Surrender the girl and the deeds. You'll be compensated. $5,000, enough to start over somewhere else. No. Then you'll die here. Maybe, but I'll take a lot of you with me. Whitmore smiled. Brave words, but bravery doesn't stop bullets. He gestured to the hills behind him. We have 30 men now. 30. You have 4. The math isn't in your favor. Math never stopped a man with a cause. A cause? Whitmore laughed. You're not fighting for a cause. You're fighting for a dead man's guilt. Let it go, Stone. Walk away. Live. Caleb's finger moved to the trigger. You've got 10 seconds. Whitmore's smile faded. You're a fool. So, I've been told. Whitmore turned his horse and rode back over the hill. Caleb watched him go, jaw locked. Cutter appeared at his side. 30 men. I heard. We can't win. I know. So why are we still here? Caleb looked back at the house. At Mary, watching from the window. Small, fragile, but standing. Because some things are worth dying for. Cutter followed his gaze. Nodded slowly. Yeah, I suppose they are. That night, Caleb wrote a letter. He didn't know who he was writing to. Maybe no one, maybe everyone. But he needed to put it down. Needed someone to know the truth. He wrote about Hale, about the promise, about Mary, about why he was doing this. When he finished, he sealed it and gave it to Jessup. If I don't make it, you get this to someone who'll listen. A newspaper, a judge, someone. Jessup took it. You'll make it, boss. Maybe, but if I don't, people need to know. They need to know what Garrett is, what Whitmore is, what this town became. Jessup nodded, tucked the letter into his coat. Caleb walked back to the porch. The stars were bright. The air was cold. And in the distance, he saw them. Campfires, dozens of them, dotting the hills like fallen stars. 30 men, maybe more, all of them coming for Mary, for the fortune, for blood. Caleb checked his rifle, checked his revolver, checked the ammunition. Then he sat down on the porch steps and waited, because tomorrow, at midnight, they would come. And Caleb Silverstone would be ready. They came at midnight. 15 armed men, torches blazing, surrounding Caleb's ranch. They didn't care that Mary was just a child. They didn't care that the fortune was legally hers. Greed had turned the entire town into a mob, and they wanted blood. Caleb stood on the porch, rifle in hand, with Mary trembling behind him. He was outnumbered, outgunned, and out of time, but he'd made a promise 10 years ago to a dying friend. And Caleb Silverstone had never broken a promise yet. Garrett rode to the front, torch in one hand, revolver in the other. His face was hard, determined. Last chance, Stone. Send out the girl and the deeds. You've got 60 seconds. Caleb didn't answer, just raised his rifle. Garrett's face twisted. So be it. Burn them out. The torches flew. They arced, through the air like falling stars. Crashed through windows. Landed on the porch. The barn, already soaked in kerosene, went up like a bonfire. Flames roared into the night sky. Caleb fired. Dropped the first man before he could throw his second torch. Cutter fired from the upstairs window. Another man fell, but they kept coming. Gunfire erupted from all sides. Bullets tore into the walls, shattered glass, splintered wood. Caleb ducked behind the water trough, already half empty from the last fight. He fired blind, heard a scream, kept firing. Cutter, status! East side's holding, but they're pushing hard on the south. Caleb cursed. The south wall was their weakest point. If it fell, they were done. He grabbed Mary by the shoulders. Upstairs, now, lock the door. Don't open it for anyone but me. But go! She ran. Caleb turned back to the fight. 3 men were charging the porch. He dropped the first, missed the second. The third made it to the steps. Caleb swung his rifle, like a club. Caught the man across the jaw. He went down hard. Caleb fired point blank. Didn't wait to see if he stayed down. The south wall exploded inward. Not from fire, from a battering ram. 4 men poured through the gap, guns blazing. Caleb dove behind the table. Bullets chewed through the wood. He rolled, came up firing, dropped 2. The other 2 scattered. Cutter! South wall's breached! No answer. Caleb's blood went cold. Cutter! Still nothing. He ran for the stairs, took them 3 at a time, burst into the upstairs hallway. Cutter was slumped against the wall, blood spreading across his chest. His rifle lay beside him. "Cutter!" The old man's eyes fluttered open. "Got 3 of 'em before they got me." "Stay with me," Cutter coughed, blood on his lips. "Too late for that, boss." He gripped Caleb's arm. "You finish this. You hear me? You finish it." His hand went slack. Caleb's jaw locked. He stood, picked up Cutter's rifle, checked the ammunition. 4 shots left. He moved to the window. Saw Garrett below, directing his men. Organizing, coordinating. He was the head of the snake. Cut off the head, the body dies. Caleb aimed, breathed, fired. The shot went wide. Garrett dove behind a wagon. Caleb cursed, fired again, missed. 2 shots left. Garrett popped up, fired back. The bullet punched through the window frame, inches from Caleb's head. Caleb didn't flinch. Just aimed, waited. Garrett moved. Caleb fired. The bullet caught Garrett in the shoulder. He spun, went down. His men rushed to him, dragged him behind cover. 1 shot left. Caleb turned, heard footsteps on the stairs. Heavy, fast. He raised the rifle. Whitmore appeared at the top of the stairs, gun drawn, smiling. "It's over, Stone." Caleb didn't hesitate. He fired. Click. Empty. Whitmore's smile widened. "Bad luck." He raised his gun. Caleb threw the rifle. It hit Whitmore in the chest, not hard enough to drop him, just hard enough to make him stumble. Caleb charged. They went down, together, fists, elbows, desperation. Whitmore was younger, stronger, but Caleb was meaner. He got his hands around Whitmore's throat. Squeezed. Whitmore's gun went off. The bullet tore through Caleb's side, white-hot pain. Caleb didn't let go, just squeezed harder. Whitmore's eyes bulged, his face turned purple, his hands clawed at Caleb's wrists. Then he went still. Caleb let go, rolled off, clutched his side. Blood poured between his fingers, too much blood. He heard Mary scream, looked up. She was in the doorway, eyes wide with horror. "Stay back," Caleb gasped. "You're hurt." "I'm fine." He wasn't. He could barely stand. But he forced himself up, grabbed Whitmore's gun. "How many left?" Mary looked out the window. I don't know. Maybe 10? Too many." Caleb limped to the window. Saw Garrett being loaded onto a horse. Saw the remaining men regrouping. They looked uncertain, leaderless. This was the moment. Now or never. Caleb fired into the air. Once, twice, 3 times. The men turned. Saw him standing in the window, bloodied, defiant, alive. "Garrett's done," Caleb's voice cut through the night. "Whitmore's dead. You want to keep dying for a lie? Come ahead. But I promise you, every man who steps through that door won't step back out." Silence. The men looked at each other, looked at the bodies scattered across the yard, looked at the burning barn, the shattered walls, the blood. One man dropped his gun, turned, walked away, then another, then 3 more. Within a minute, they were all gone, riding into the dark, leaving their dead behind. Caleb sagged against the window frame. The gun slipped from his hand, his vision blurred. Mary caught him before he fell. "Stay with me," she whispered. "Please, stay with me." Caleb's hand found hers, squeezed. "I'm not going anywhere." "You're bleeding. I've had worse." "When?" Caleb tried to smile. "Devil's notch." Mary's tears fell on his face. "You kept your promise." "I did. My father would be proud." Caleb's vision darkened at the edges. But he held on to her hand, held on to consciousness, held on to the promise. "Mary." "Yes, the letter, in my coat. Give it to someone who'll listen." "You'll give it to them yourself." "Mary, no." Her voice was fierce, determined. "You don't get to die, not after everything, not after this." Caleb looked at her, saw Thomas Hale's eyes, saw his strength, his fire. "Okay," Caleb whispered. "Okay." He closed his eyes. Not to die, just to rest. Because the fight was over, and for the first time in 10 years, Caleb Silverstone could finally breathe. Caleb woke to sunlight. It hurt. Everything hurt. His side screamed with every breath. His head pounded. His hands were wrapped in bandages he didn't remember getting, but he was alive. He turned his head. Mary sat in a chair beside the bed, asleep. Her hand rested on his arm. Her face was pale, exhausted, but peaceful. Caleb tried to sit up. Pain lanced through his side. He gasped. Mary's eyes snapped open. "Don't move." "How long?" 3 days. She stood, poured water from a pitcher, held the cup to his lips. "The doctor said you lost too much blood, said you shouldn't have survived." Caleb drank. The water was cold, clean. "Guess I'm stubborn." "Guess so." Mary set the cup down. Her eyes were red. "Cutter's dead. So is Jessup. He tried to hold the south wall. They didn't make it." Caleb's chest tightened. Good men. Loyal men. Dead because of a promise he'd made. The others? Rode out after the fight. Said they'd done their part. Mary's voice was quiet. "It's just us now." Caleb looked at her. Really looked. She'd changed. The hollow-eyed girl from the auction was gone. In her place stood someone harder, older, forged by fire. "What happened after?" Caleb asked. "The town came, not to fight, to see." Mary's jaw tightened. "They saw the bodies, saw the blood, saw what Garrett and Whitmore tried to do. And some apologized, most just left." Her voice was bitter. "They didn't care about the truth, they just cared that the fight was over." Caleb wasn't surprised. People were like that, quick to judge, slow to admit they were wrong. "What about Garrett?" "Alive, barely. He rode out with his men. No one's seen him since." Mary met his eyes. "But the lawyer's dead. And without him, the others scattered. No one's organizing against us anymore." "For now." "For now," Mary agreed. Caleb forced himself to sit up. Pain tore through him, but he gritted his teeth and pushed through. "Help me up." "You need to rest." "I've rested enough." Mary hesitated. Then she helped him stand. His legs shook. His vision swam, but he stayed upright. "Where are we going?" "Outside." She helped him down the stairs. Every step was agony. But Caleb didn't stop. Couldn't stop. He needed to see. The ranch was a ruin. The barn was gone. Just charred timbers and ash. The south wall of the house was a gaping hole, covered with canvas, bullet holes pockmarked. Every surface. Blood stained the dirt. But the land was still there. The cattle still grazed. The sun still shone. It could be rebuilt. Caleb stood on the porch, breathing hard. Mary stood beside him. "What do we do now?" she asked. "We rebuild." "With what? We don't have men. We don't have money for repairs. We have the land. We have the cattle. We have time." Caleb looked at her. "And we have each other." Mary's eyes filled with tears. "Is that enough?" "It's more than your father had. And he built something worth dying for." She wiped her eyes. "I don't want anyone else to die for me." "Then don't let them. Live. Build. Make this place into something that matters." Caleb's voice was rough. "That's how you honor the dead, not by dying with them, by living better than they could." Mary nodded slowly. "Will you help me?" "As long as I'm breathing." "Promise." Caleb smiled. It hurt, but it was real. "Promise." 2 weeks later, a rider came. Not a gunman, a federal marshal. He wore a badge that actually meant something. His name was Tanner. He was older, gray-haired, hard eyes that had seen too much. "I'm here about the siege," Tanner said. He sat at the table, hat in his hands. "Word reached the territorial governor. He sent me to investigate." Caleb sat across from him. His side still ached, but he could move now. Function. "What do you want to know?" "Everything." So Caleb told him. About Hale, about the promise, about the auction, about Garrett and Whitmore, and the 30 men who came to kill a child for her inheritance. Tanner listened. Didn't interrupt, just listened. When Caleb finished, Tanner was quiet for a long moment. Then he pulled out a notebook. "I'll need names, everyone involved." Caleb gave them, every name he knew, every face he remembered. "What happens now?" Mary asked. Tanner looked at her. "Now I do my job. Garrett will be arrested. So will anyone else who rode with him. They'll stand trial. Will they hang? Some of them. Maybe. Tanner's voice was flat. Depends on what the judge decides. And us? Caleb asked. You? Tanner stood, put his hat back on. You did what any man would do. Protected what was yours. Far as I'm concerned, you're clear. He looked at Mary. The estate's legal. The deeds are valid. Anyone says otherwise, they'll answer to me. Relief washed over Caleb. It was done. Really done. Tanner tipped his hat. You're good people, both of you. Don't let this territory tell you different. He rode out. Caleb and Mary watched him go. It's really over, Mary said. Yeah, it is. She looked up at him. What do we do now? Now? Caleb smiled. Now we live. They rebuilt. Slowly. One board at a time, one fence post at a time. Caleb hired new men. Good men. Men who worked for wages, not greed. Mary learned to run the ranch, learned the books, the cattle, the land. She was smart, quick. Within a year, she was making decisions Caleb hadn't even thought of. She grew. Not just older, stronger. The scared girl from the auction was gone. In her place was someone fierce, capable, unbreakable. Caleb watched her with pride and with sadness, because he saw Thomas Hale in her. Every day, every decision, every smile, Hale would have been proud. 5 years later, Caleb stood on the porch at sunset. The ranch was thriving, the house was rebuilt, the herd had doubled. Mary was 17 now, beautiful, strong, ready to take on the world. She joined him on the porch, 2 cups of coffee in her hands. She handed him one. Thinking about him? She asked. Caleb nodded. Always. Me too. Mary sipped her coffee. Do you think he knows? What we built? Yeah, I think he knows. They stood in silence, watching the sun sink below the hills, watching the cattle graze, watching the life they'd built from blood and promises. Thank you, Mary said quietly. For what? For keeping your promise. For not giving up. For... Her voice cracked. For being the father I needed when mine couldn't be here. Caleb's throat tightened. He put his arm around her shoulders. You made it easy. She leaned into him. I'm going to make him proud. Make this place into something that lasts, something that matters. You already have. Mary smiled. Then I'll make it better. Caleb believed her, because she was Thomas Hale's daughter, and Hale had never done anything halfway. The sun disappeared. Stars filled the sky, and for the first time in 15 years, Caleb felt something he'd almost forgotten: peace. The promise was kept. The fight was won. And the future, Mary's future, was bright. Caleb Silverstone had done what he set out to do, and that was enough.